All right, for more, we're being joined by Shujaul Haq, our correspondent, who's joining us live from Srinagar. Also with us, our executive editor, Javid Ansari, who's with us in our studios. Ashish Merishi is live with us from outside the Pakistani High Commission. And Jyoti Malhotra, senior writer, India Today, is also with us in our studios. I want to come to you first, Javid Ansari. The NDA government once again reiterating that this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to cancel or suspend these talks, bilateral talks with Pakistan. Where do you see this heading, and what other options can the government explore?
Very few options. It's now certain that Mr. Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will certainly not meet on the sidelines of the UNGA as was being worked upon. It also means that this just reflects the nature of the Indo-Pakistan relations. It's one step forward, two steps back. It always hangs by a thread. You know, it oscillates between hope and despair, and this is what is happening. I'm really at a loss to understand why the government of India has taken the step that it has, because this is not something new. These talks, this kind of confabulation between the Hurriyat and the Pakistani side have been happening for the last 10-15 years. Jyoti would know better, but I certainly, for whatever little I know, this has been happening. So this is nothing. This is something that could have been worked upon. But now that the government of India has taken this decision, certainly forget about Nawaz Sharif and Narendra Modi meeting in New York.
Absolutely. And Jyoti Malhotra, how do you see these developments? As of now, the Pakistani envoy is going ahead with his planned meeting with separatist leaders. Pakistan is saying that this is a format that they've followed for several years, that before bilateral meetings, they meet leaders from Kashmir to figure out a plan on that state.
I think it's plain silly for the Pakistan High Commissioner, Abdul Basit, to go ahead with these talks with the Hurriyat, considering Foreign Secretary Sujata Singh, before he met Shabir Shah yesterday in Delhi, called him and said to him, please don't do this, please don't meet the Hurriyat, and he's going ahead with that. I think it shows a plain, not only a discourtesy, but he's clearly got his permissions or his advice or his consultations from back home in Islamabad. Now the question is, who is it in Islamabad, or is it the army in Rawalpindi which is telling Abdul Basit what to do? In any case, I think this is a new standoff between India and Pakistan. It has been quite unnecessary, I would say. I think that in the first case, if the Indians had told the Pakistanis that please don't meet the Hurriyat leaders, the Pakistanis should have understood the Indian sensitivities and not gone ahead. So you cannot have a conversation clearly when both sides are arguing over something as like this. And I think for the time being, I think talks are off, of course. I think the relationship is going to go into deep freeze, and it's unfortunate for all sides, especially I think for the people of India and Pakistan.
Absolutely. And Jyoti, you know, Abdul Basit's behavior does come as a surprise, because when Nawaz Sharif earlier visited the country, he had there were some reports that he would be meeting Hurriyat leaders, but he didn't, sending out a clear signal that India and Pakistan and both sides were serious about developing a good bilateral relationship.
You know what happened when Nawaz Sharif was coming to Delhi to participate in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's swearing in ceremony along with the other SAARC leaders. At the time, what happened was that the Indian government sent a message to Nawaz Sharif's people and said to him that please do not ask for a meeting with the Hurriyat. And I think the Nawaz Sharif himself personally understood that there was sensitivities associated with his possible meeting with the Hurriyat leaders in Delhi when he had actually come to participate in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's swearing in. And I think we have to give credit to Nawaz Sharif that he did not ask for a meeting with the Hurriyat leaders. So since he didn't ask for a meeting with the Hurriyat leaders, there was no question of turning Pakistan down. But I think what is interesting is that 2.5 months on, the Pakistanis went ahead and met the Hurriyat leaders. And I think that's not only plain discourtesy, but it's very bad diplomacies, is that you cannot seem to be insulting your host when the host has made it very clear that we don't want you to meet these Hurriyat leaders. It's a separate argument that over the last 10 or 15 years, the Indian government has allowed Pakistani visiting leaders from Pervez Musharraf and before and later. Atal Bihari Vajpayee had gone ahead and said, yes, you can do that. But I think if Narendra Modi's government has taken a strong view, a very, very clear view, there's been no ambiguity at all on the part of the Narendra Modi government. And despite that, if the Pakistanis have gone ahead and met the Hurriyat, I think it's very bad form.
Absolutely. Let's also get a word from our correspondent Shujal Haq, who's joining us live from Srinagar. Shujal, senior separatist leaders from Kashmir in the national capital today meeting the Pakistani envoy. How are other leaders in Kashmir reacting to these developments in the light of the fact that secretary-level talks have been suspended because of this meeting?
Well, Simi, the entire decision has come as a shock to most of the people in Kashmir. To just give you an example, today most of the local newspapers have their headlines with this story. And the crux of most of these headlines is certainly the future of the process of resolution of Kashmir issue, and whether this means a new direction altogether when it comes to talks between India and Pakistan on the issue of resolving Kashmir. Most of the people on the ground here, including separatist leaders, have been condemning this decision, but at the same time there are a lot of people who also feel that by making this such a big issue, the meeting of Hurriyat leaders with the Pakistan High Commissioner, somehow there has been some sort of a relevance that has been reignited as far as the Hurriyat leaders are concerned. Certainly Hurriyat leaders are seen more vocal in TV debates, on statements making against the entire process and the Indian attitude towards it. So there are different viewpoints as far as whether this decision was a good one, bad one, or strategically important one.
Rachita, stay on with us. Let's also get a word from Ashish Mehrishi, who's joining us live from outside the Pakistani High Commission. Ashish, what are the developments you're seeing on the ground?
Well, Simi, a lot of expectations that have got derailed now. Gilani is about to land at any point of time, and as indicated by Mirwais, Umar Farooq, as well as Yasin Malik, they're also going to meet Abdul Basit at the decided time. But if you see, Simi, there are three things in culmination. One is that there have been ceasefire violations in the last 9 days. At least 10 ceasefire violations have happened. Then there is an effort in Pakistan to derail Nawaz Sharif government by a different political party. And then third, we see, despite the government of India rejecting the offer of a separatist leader meeting Abdul Basit in Delhi, they still went ahead. So there are certain quarters in Pakistan, it seems, they never want the relationship between India and Pakistan to be normal. And that is why we see that despite the Indian government they're pointing out very clearly they don't want the separatist leaders to meet Abdul Basit in Delhi, still the meetings is going on. So certainly this is going to affect the entire peace process, which was actually on process now.
All right, Ashish, thanks so much for that update. Shuja, Javid Ansari and Jyoti Malhotra, thanks so much for putting these developments in perspective for us. We'll continue tracking developments.